Hello everyone, and welcome to Deli Cuisine. Today, I'm sharing my homemade yogurt recipe without a yogurt maker. Very firm and creamy, with only 3 ingredients. In addition to being economical, they're delicious, and it allows us to control their quality, and we can flavor them however we like. I'll tell you more in the rest of the video. Let's get started. I start by heating 1 liter of milk in a saucepan over medium heat. You need to use whole milk, not skim or semi-skimmed milk, as those will make the yogurt runny. Don't let it reach boiling point. Keep an eye on it, and as soon as small bubbles are about to appear, that's around 100 degrees. If you have a thermometer, that's when you take it off the heat. If you have the chance to use fresh milk from the farm, that's even better. However, you'll need to sterilize it well, so make sure it reaches boiling point to kill all the microbes. In a bowl, I put plain yogurt, which will serve as the lactic starter. Make sure to choose a firm, whole milk, high-quality yogurt. I also add 80 grams of sugar, but that's completely optional. You can simply make plain yogurt. It doesn't change anything at all. So I mix them together well. As for the milk, I let it cool down to a temperature of 40 degrees Celsius, which takes about 30 minutes. You should be able to touch it for over 15 seconds without burning yourself. When the milk has reached the desired temperature, I strain it through a sieve to remove the milk crusts that formed as it cooled. For more recipe ideas, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. I post regularly, so you see, it's important to strain it. It prevents having unpleasant little bits. I add a small amount of the milk to the yogurt and sugar mixture and mix well. You got it. In this recipe, the most important thing is really the type of milk used and the lactic starter. Everything else is optional. If you don't consume cow's milk, it also works very well with goat's or sheep's milk, or even plant-based milks. Still, prefer using soy milk, which gives better results. I mix all the remaining milk with the yogurt and the sugar. If you want to add fresh fruit, this is the time. Mix. Beforehand, you need to cook and sweeten them. Otherwise, the yogurts will be very sour and, most importantly, could develop harmful bacteria. I put my mixture in a glass to make it easier to pour into the jars. And here, I have a great little trick, really simple, but it gives perfect results. To avoid foam or air bubbles, and to make sure the surface is nice and smooth, bring your container as close as possible to the glass and pour very slowly. It's best to use small glass jars so it sets better. I use 125 ml jars. Let me remind you that you should always sterilize the small jars before using them. So I ended up with 8 yogurts, so I'm closing all the lids. Now it's time for natural fermentation. For this, I arrange all my little jars in a large, heavy-bottomed pan. If you don't have a pressure cooker, this works really well. If you want to know how fermentation works in the oven, I invite you to watch my latest homemade yogurt recipe. I fill with hot tap water up to the level of the lids. The milk will ferment thanks to the bacterial culture, so it will turn into a super firm yogurt. You'll see later. You'll need to maintain a stable temperature between 15 degrees Celsius and 45 degrees Celsius throughout the fermentation, which takes between 8 and 12 hours. If it's too hot, it can kill the cultures and it won't work. And if it's too cold, it might take much longer. So I cover the pan with aluminum foil to keep the cold out. I put the lid back on and I wrap everything in a warm blanket. What I do is put everything in the turned-off oven so it's not too exposed to the cold. That way, it's perfect. If you have a large airtight bag, you can also put your yogurts inside, along with 2 or 3 bottles filled with hot water as well. It works very well after 12 hours of fermentation. So I left them overnight. I take the little jars out of the water bath. They're still a bit warm. Of course, they will still set in the fridge, but I'm opening one to show you the texture. They're already really firm. I let them set in the fridge for at least 4 hours before tasting them. And look how firm they are. They're super creamy. They're really delicious. I invite you to try them. They keep for a little over a week in the fridge. And for the next batch, you just need to keep one and use it as a starter culture, but not more than 5 times in a row, because after that, the cultures become inactive. I really hope you enjoyed the recipe. See you soon!